Hey everyone, Jay Cron here, CEO of Empower Network, coming to you with another Rising Star interview. And today we're going to be getting to know Gary Miller and how he has managed to show up big time on our 7-day leaderboard. And I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to him, share with you his story, how he's generating success, but also get to know Gary a little bit. As you know, these Rising Star interviews are an opportunity for you to get to know the successful faces that are driving results here at Empower Network and get to know their story a little bit. So we've got a lot to cover today. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jay Cron. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing spectacular. I love getting to know people from all around the U.S. that are driving results with Empower Network. So tell me, where are we finding you right now? Where are you based out of?
I am based out of San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. Okay, well, hopefully the weather's still good there. I know Texas can get really hot. I know right now in Southern California it's beginning to warm up a little bit, so I don't know if it's hitting you guys yet. But, I guess what I'd love to start with, Gary, let's talk about what life was like that brought you here. How did you find out about Empower Network? What were you working on, before, during? Give us kind of the backstory.
Sure. So I'm an Air Force veteran of 11 years, active duty side of the house. And I was on my second deployment to Afghanistan, scenic and lovely Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
And it was a bit more of a challenging deployment. I think all deployments and all the veterans out there understand there's no nice, easy deployment. But what was really challenging for me was I had my wife at home who was pregnant with our second daughter. And I kind of got the tasking that said I had to go to Afghanistan. And as soon as I put the dates together, I realized quickly that I was going to miss the birth of my second child. And I remember sitting on Skype with her on Christmas evening while I was in Afghanistan, and I was watching our oldest daughter, Ellie, open her gifts over Skype, and, trying to kind of hold back this is my wife, she's by herself just with our daughter, and it's Christmas, and I'm going to miss the birth. It was pretty heavy. And so we finished the Skype call, and I just remember sitting on my bed. It was wicked cold in Afghanistan in the winter, and I'm just like sobbing, going, this can't be the best that it's going to be, that I'm missing the birth of my child. And it really messed with me. I up to that point, I was going to be a career military guy. I was doing really well. But, when I joined the military, I was a single guy with a cat. And now I had a wife and a daughter and another daughter on the way. And so I took to the internet to try to find a better way. And of course, I sifted through a lot of stuff, and I ended up getting back stateside and was getting ready to leave the military. And it was after I separated from the military because I said, one way or the other, I've got to do something different. And it was shortly after leaving the military was the first time that I saw an Empower Network sales page with David Wood. And I think all of us have the first time we saw David's story, like on the sales video.
Yeah, everybody has one of those. It always is like he's in a tank top, hair was all over the place, right. Beautiful Costa Rica backdrop somewhere. Yeah, everyone's got a Dave Wood first time they saw him story.
Yeah, it's uncanny how all of us can immediately, I remember where I was sitting, And so, but I watched it, and part of it, it's funny that I was looking at it going, why am I still watching this? This seems so over the top. But I kept watching it because no matter, you could say anything you want to about the old sales videos, the truth is it was so real. It was just very authentic. Mm-hmm. And in the space of searching all this stuff online, I hadn't found that yet. And I just kept watching, and I kept watching. And so I ended up going back and forth and sending some emails to the person that introduced me to Empower. And then finally, late June, beginning of July 2013, I pulled the trigger and joined Empower Network. And 3 weeks later, I went to my first event in Denver, and the rest is kind of history. We just ran from there.
Awesome. Well, what I love about your story, and it's something that we see in common with a lot of individuals that are driving results here at Empower Network, is you made the decision to change something first before you necessarily knew what came next. That, when you could have very easily said, well, I'm going to stay here in the military, and of course, thank you for your service, that's incredible, but that you could have just stayed there and said, I know I don't want to be here, but I'm going to wait until I have something else to go to. But in your case, you made the decision made the change, and then the vehicle, kind of revealed itself, and it's been an opportunity for you. And that's something that we really see in common with a lot of our achievers here, is they made that decision because they knew they were going to figure it out. They knew that it was what they wanted. They knew that it's the way life they wanted it to look, and they moved in that path, which is something that I'm glad that you share in common with them. So, talking about your time here at Empower Network, you talked about your first live event, which it sounds like was a very transformative experience for you. Pretty much everybody that attends our live events, that's normally where breakthroughs happen. I know that a lot of people always have their favorite commission story. And that commission story may be the one that came in when you were on vacation, the one that came in when you were rolling over in bed and you saw your phone buzzing, or whatever it happens to be, the amount you made in a month, a week, a weekend, a year, whatever the number is. What's your favorite commission story that you've had here at Empower Network?
I love that question because it immediately comes to my head. It was during the Olympics, right? So my wife and I were in our bedroom and we're watching the Olympics, watching some event that you would otherwise never be interested in, but it's the Olympics, so you watch anyway, right? So you're like just sitting there.
Yeah, of course. It's a societal contract. The Olympics are on. You have to watch them whether you want to or not.
Totally no interest, but we were there watching it. And I had my email going off, and it was so funny because not even 3 hours earlier, I would love to tell you that I was being so cool about all this. But 3 hours earlier, I was having a little bit of a diva pity party about my business. I was like, things aren't going as well. And, I was doing one of those deals. And, my wife, Crystal, who's just like, was all in really before I was all in my head. She's telling me, dude, suck it up. It's going to be fine. Keep doing what you're doing. And so we're sitting there in bed watching the Olympics, and I'm hearing the email go off, and it's kind of sequential dings, right? So I'm like, I know what those sequential dings sound like. Let me pull that up. And I had someone who had joined and then went all in while I was sitting there watching the Olympics, right? And so that's a proper commission, and results not typical, but that's a proper commission, and I'm just rolling over, and I remember showing like the cell phone to my wife, and I was like, because it was the first time I think I'd ever gotten a proper all in, and I showed it to her, and I was like, so I guess they're not kidding when this really happens. I'm like, read that again. And I'm thinking, I told her, I said, baby, we're a long way from me being in that cot in Afghanistan. I said, what's up now? This is awesome. And of course, she reminded me, she's like, yeah, hey there, guy. Remember like 3 hours ago when you were whining?
And see, that's how you know you married a good woman, because she loves you enough to make sure that you don't miss those teachable moments. That's important. That's important. Wow, absolutely. What a great story. So I noticed you've got these guitars behind you on your wall. So tell us about that. Where, because I can tell what's important to you, because you have, clearly the drawing, and I mean, if you're into abstract art, maybe you made that, but I'm guessing it was one of your kids. And then you've got 3 guitars behind you. So tell us about what's on the wall behind you.
It's funny. We were kind of joking in a conversation before we came on that there was a time when I had hair, and actually, when I was first going to college, reluctantly not really going to class, but trying, I ended up finishing barely. But I was living in Southern California. I had proper hair, and I was playing in like a rock band and like on the Sunset Strip, doing the whole thing. And while obviously life has changed for me, and for the better, but loving music and having that outlet is a great thing, and I still clearly am into it. And yes, you're right. My artists are actually all over my office. Those are my daughters who, really, that's just the reminder. I keep all this stuff around the office because while we're doing this thing, it's for them, man. And they always keep me, focused.
Very cool. Well, and I love, again, for those of you that are watching this, what you're picking up are those subtle cues and reminders that Gary is leveraging to make sure that when he's in his office, it's game time. That, he has reminders of the things he's passionate about, reminders of his why, which is clearly his family. So I want to make sure you don't miss that. So, Gary, if we look at the path that you've been on, and now, hitting our leaderboard for new member signups over the last 7 days, let's talk about, if you were to look at your journey here at Empower Network and you were to sum up the results you're driving in either one word, one sentence, or one habit, what would it be?
It would be learning one thing really well before you go to the next thing. So I think there's this horrible tendency in all of us, especially in this niche, in this industry online, to start one thing and try that to generate leads or do something. Oh, that didn't work well. Oh, look, there's this thing over here. I'll try this. So literally like in a week, I'll bump into this. I see it on my team sometime. I see it in others that, will message me on Facebook or something. Literally on Monday, they were going to be the Facebook expert. By Wednesday, they're the Instagram expert or trying. By Friday, they're going to be like the Bing PPC expert. And you're like, whoa, dude, that's just, the best advice I finally listened to, because I'm hard-headed, was pick a strategy, master that strategy for crying out loud until it really produces. Then you can start going to the next thing. I think, you were talking about events a minute ago. The most powerful conversations I've had with leaders at events that really inspired us to really kind of kick this thing up a bit, what always impressed me about them was that they were not really interested in being experts at 10 different things. If you talk to them, they were really, really good at one or two things in their business that they just leveraged to the hilt. And I started seeing that over and over again, and I was like, I need to do the same thing. I need to just kind of really focus in on an area and make that happen, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it makes a tremendous amount of sense, and it's something actually that I go back. A good friend of mine is a brilliant thought leader named Joe Polish, and Joe used to share that early on in his career, he had a mentor that basically Joe was complaining about his business, which at the time was carpet cleaning. He's like, man, nobody can make money in carpet cleaning. It's the crappiest business ever, da-da-da-da-da. And the mentor said to him, Joe, are there other people making money in carpet cleaning? And he's like, well, yeah, there's guys that are making money. He says, okay, well, then the problem is not with the business, it's with you. And, I liken that to a lot of elements of techniques in this business that, oh, man, I tried that technique, it doesn't work. It's like, well, do you know anyone driving results with that technique? Well, yeah, there are people driving results with it. Okay, then it's not the technique, it's in your application of it. And, understanding that is something very, very important. I know Bruce Lee is the one that always gets quoted as, I don't fear the man that's practiced 10,000 kicks once, I fear the man that's practiced one kick 10,000 times. And you're right that achieving that level of mastery and driving it deep is the foundation that you can use to bring results into your business. So, Gary, this Rising Star interview is going to be featured on our corporate blog. People in all walks of their business experience are going to be seeing it. Maybe they're looking at Empower for the first time, wondering what we do. Maybe they've just gotten started, or maybe they've been in for a while and are now beginning to think about taking their business a little bit more seriously. If you knew you had the opportunity to leave them with one thought or one piece of insight based on your journey, what would it be?
So it would be kind of two parts, but it is short, I promise. So the first part, from just a strictly mindset perspective, dream bigger a lot faster. The world isn't served well by you thinking small. You can really take this as big as you want to. So know that that's possible, and don't, if you've got a goal, try multiplying it by about 5, and you'll start to get into the ballpark of what you need to be looking at. So whether that's the amount of work you need to do or the income that you want, go bigger, go faster. There's no reason you have to kind of crawl along. But in terms of just pure, tactics and what to do, I just go back to, there's so much noise in the internet space. I mean, we all know this. I mean, good grief, Jonathan, you see it in the level all the time, right? And,
absolutely.
So it really, I think, a lot of people say consistency, a lot of people will say focus, but I keep coming back to focus only because the most successful people I see in this business, whether it's they finally got their first lead or they've got $1 million ring around their finger, they had the ability to not look left, not look right, not look at this thing, that thing. They lock in, and they just do this thing. Because, I'm impressed these days whenever I log into my back office, and I do, and this might sound a little cheesy, but it's true. I look at all of our products, and I look at everything in that home screen, and I'm like, dude, you've got everything you need right now to build a legacy for your kids. Now get to work and do the dang thing. And that's really what it's down to. Just focus and hustle. The business won't build if you're not working it, and just get to work. It's all right there. Just make it happen.
And I could not have summed that up better myself, Gary. You did a masterful job, and really looking at our product lineup and what Empower Network brings to market is a really unique compilation of applicable knowledge. That, the idea that knowledge is power and continuing to just amass knowledge upon knowledge, if that were the case, librarians would be the richest people on the planet. But in our world, it's really been distilled down to be a selection of techniques that are time tested and proven by Dave Wood so that it's all in one place. And you're right, you do have everything available right there, and I really appreciate you bringing that up. And Gary, thank you again on behalf of myself, on behalf of everyone that's going to watch this, and Empower Network for sharing your story and sharing your success with us. So many times in this business, people don't give themselves permission to dream bigger or permission to succeed until they meet someone that they can resonate with that is experiencing the kind of results that they're experiencing. So thank you for leading that charge, being one of Empower Network's rising stars. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Miller coming to us from San Antonio, a name to watch. And Gary, I look forward to meeting you personally at our next event.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It was great to talk to you.
The pleasure is all ours. Everyone, we'll see you soon.
Folks, obviously the income examples discussed are extraordinary. The income claims presented are not intended to serve as a guarantee of income. Instead, they're designed to give you an idea of what's possible. Success in this business requires leadership, hard work, and dedication. Since we want to help you make an informed decision, we've gone above and beyond with our income disclosure document. If you want to see the average earnings, please visit the page at www.empowernetwork.com/income.php.